Hey friends, welcome to Huge Head Studio. My name is Robbie, and this week we're headed to the Upside Down because the adventures in Hawkins are finally coming to an end, and I figured we'd commemorate it by sculpting a Vecna and Eddie Munson mashup. Why? Well, I thought it would look cool, and that's about as deep as my concepts go sometimes. We get this project started by building a base out of some thick armature wire and aluminum foil. We do this because Sculpey is heavy and expensive, and aluminum foil is light and cheap, so it helps us save on material, which is good for me because one habit I picked up in art school that I just can't quit is stretching my art supplies as much as humanly possible. I still have Prismacolors that I bought in high school, which was much longer ago than I'd like to admit. I especially stretch my supplies when it's a medium I have less experience with and therefore less confidence in, which is counterproductive, I know. It's like buying a fancy expensive toy and leaving it in the box forever because you're afraid of breaking it, though I do collect Funko Pops, so maybe there's something deeper going on there. Anyway, my background is in illustration, so my typical mediums are pencil and acrylics, which are 2D, so missing a whole dimension that's required for sculpting. But I have dabbled a bit in sculpture over the years, but my experience has been mostly limited to Super Sculpey, so this week I decided to try out a different, softer type of Sculpey with Sculpey 3, and I gotta say, it's pretty dope. Super Sculpey, of course, still has its obvious benefits and would have worked a little better on this face, as the firm clay allows for tighter details, but for the larger portions of the sculpt, like the body, the softer clay is much easier to blend and shape without giving yourself carpal tunnel syndrome. Probably should have tried it sooner, but I'm usually kinda hesitant to try something new, and I've been pretty stubborn with my art for most of my life. When I find a medium I like, I cling to it and then struggle with stepping out of my comfort zone. But at the same time, I like to make weird stuff, and I reckon sometimes you have to push past that comfort zone and try new things, even if it's just to see what kind of terrible ideas you can get away with. Within reason though. Preferably whatever you're trying is legal in most places. So I used a few different techniques to try and achieve the veiny, viney look that Vecna has going on by carving little grooves into the clay and then going over the top with some liquid Sculpey. Vecna kinda looks like he's made out of a tree, if the tree was made out of people meat. And he has a lot more layers than a normal face. The liquid Sculpey is, well, it's liquid, so it allows us to suggest some unique veiny textures that would be harder to pull off with just normal polymer clay. With the face mostly done, I'm ready to move on to the body, so I plop the head on and start sketching out the proportions for the Eddie part of this sculpt. The body pose is nothing special, it's honestly just boringly sticking out of the base, but I wanted to use this as an opportunity to practice sculpting and painting clothes. I suppose I could have made this like one of those cut-off busts where the torso and arms are cut off into a nice clean V shape, but as usual, the best ideas come after the project is complete, so I guess in some places you call that learning, but maybe next time. I need to continue this microwave bacon texture he's got going on the neck as well, so I carve some grooves into the neck and then blend it with a ridiculous amount of isopropyl alcohol. After that, I start squishing on the neck vines? I don't know what these are called, but they make Vecna look like Vecna, so I put them on and use more liquid Sculpey to make them look like whatever they are. Once I get the mystery noodles nice and smoothed out, I slap on a slab of shirt complete with collar that I made off screen and then drape on more slabs of rolled out clay to start shaping out Eddie's battle vest. With the basic shape of the vest in place, I add some simple strips of clay that are meant to be a continuation of the leather jacket so it doesn't look like it just disappears past the arms. Then I redoodle the sketch that I did earlier on the layer under the vest again on the actual vest layer, as some of the grooves in the doodle will become permanent details, helping to suggest folds, stitches, and general texture. After that, I add some pockets and more stitching, and then use a small ball stylus to punch in the classic puckering you get near the seams in denim jackets. Then I add another rolled out strip of clay for his collar and repeat the same details to suggest seams and wrinkles before squishing on some little balls of clay for his pins and for his vest buttons, and dug out some little lines for the button holes. Once the vest was done, I moved on to what I learned is definitely the area that I need most practice in, the hair. Short and simple hair or a beard is doable, but I definitely learned that with bigger, bushier hair like this, my abilities are lacking. It's okay though, it's honestly half the reason I started this channel, to track my progress and see if there's any noticeable improvement over time. After a lot more practice, I'd love to take one of these videos and redo the exact same sculpt in the future, and then hopefully look back at the original and laugh how simple it was, but we'll never know unless we try. Man, I sound like one of those corny posters that teachers used to have on the wall in middle school with inspirational quotes over artsy-fartsy pictures of landscapes and stuff. Anyway, moving on, the paint. I started with Vecna's face by giving it a pinkish base coat and then followed up with a brownish wash to bring out the deeper details of the face. After that, I took some purple and went over the darker areas again to start bringing out more of those Vecna colors, which looks like, well, like he's inside out. I've tried a few different painting techniques in the other videos, but on this one I decided I wanted to try something a little more painterly, so instead of using washes for the whole paint job, which can be random and less controlled, I decided to go with a more intentional paint scheme, which, duh, why wasn't I doing this the whole time? I mean, the other sculpts worked out in the end, I guess, but painting like this just seems pretty obvious, right? Apparently not. It may not have worked out as well with the face. I don't know, I really can't tell since it basically just looks like people spaghetti, but I think it worked out well with the vest, so I'm excited to try it again on future projects. As you just saw, I painted the vest in layers, starting with a more saturated blue, and then I kept going over it with a lighter and more chromatic blue to imply texture and try to make it look weathered, like a classic acid wash denim jacket. Then I painted the back patch black for Eddie's Dio, the last line panel, and gave the same black base coat to his pins and buttons. Next, I gave the hair a basic black base coat, and then dry brushed on some lighter browns here and there to give it some variation. After giving up on the hair, I added an aged, bronze-ish color to the buttons, and then moved on to detailing his pins. The pins are a little too small for me to actually paint the images on them, so I decided to just dab on the basic shapes to imply their images instead of fully rendering them. It at least gets the point across, which is good enough. The rest is just a bit of hopping around here and there, tying up all the loose ends. I painted his eyes a milky deadish blue and then added the text for the Dio panel, which took a few layers because every red paint I have is transparent, which is perfect. I treated the Motorhead patch the same way as the pins by implying the shapes rather than fully illustrating every little detail. Then I finally added the classic Hellfire Club design to the shirt and then dabbed some UV resin into the eyes and around the skin to give them a slightly wet look. Last and once again least, because I always seem to forget to make the base look fancy till the very end, I add a little something to the base so it's not as boring and use some hot glue to make it look like it's covered in Vecna's vines, then give it a darkish, bluish coat with some little red accents here and there to represent the upside down. With the base done, so is our upside down Eddie. Well, there it is, the Vecna Eddie Munson mashup that absolutely nobody asked for but got anyway to commemorate the bittersweet end to such a fun series. This video of course dropped between the second and third volumes, but at the time of this recording I've only seen volume 1, so hopefully it ends well enough and doesn't poop the bed like other great series. Looking at you, Game of Thrones. As usual, I appreciate you hanging out with me and I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you're curious to see what dumb idea we come up with for next time. But I reckon that's it for now, so thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one.